53 minutes before he killed her, 20-year-old Sarah Butler texted Khalil Wheeler Weaver, "You're not a serial killer, right?" Tragically, he was. Between August and November 2016, Wheeler Weaver murdered 3 women, including Butler, and tried to kill a 4th. But he also left a trail of evidence behind him. Khalil Wheeler Weaver used dating apps and the social media app Tag to lure his victims. Butler's family and friends, determined to find her killer, then turned the tables and used the Tag app to track him down and bring him to justice. Welcome back to True Stories. Join the family and let us explore some of the most interesting true crime cases. As always, if you enjoy, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Khalil Wheeler Weaver didn't strike most people as a cold-blooded killer. Clean-cut and well-dressed, he nevertheless had a deeply hidden dark side. Information on Wheeler Weaver's early life is limited. Weaver grew up in a comfortable home in a well-to-do neighborhood in Orange, New Jersey. And nothing in his home life seemed to indicate he would become a cold-blooded monster. Several of his family members are employed with law enforcement. In late 2016, the 20-year-old himself was working as a security guard at a hotel and a grocery store. Wheeler Weaver was described as calm and helpful by detectives. Nevertheless, this calm young man was preparing to commit a string of brutal murders. Khalil Wheeler Weaver's first victim was 19-year-old Robin West. According to her mother, West struggled with mental health issues. At the time of her disappearance on August 31, 2016, West was getting the majority of her income from sex work. The day after she vanished, local police responded to calls about a fire in an abandoned house. Upon entering the home, they discovered West's charred remains. Her body was so badly burned that she could not be identified until 2 weeks later through the use of dental records. Due to the state of her remains, her cause of death could not be determined. When he was later questioned about West's murder, Wheeler Weaver told detectives that he had gone for a meal with West and dropped her off at an abandoned house about 2 blocks from where she was found. But mere weeks after West's body was found, another woman disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Joanne Brown, who was 33 in 2016, was struggling with homelessness and also had mental health problems. She was last seen getting into Wheeler Weaver's car on October 22, 2016, and was reported missing later that month. On December 5, 2016, Brown's remains were discovered in a different abandoned house. Tape covered her nose and mouth. The cause of death was ultimately ruled as strangulation. On November 22, 2016, Wheeler Weaver murdered his third and final victim, 20-year-old Sarah Butler, a second-year student at New Jersey City University. Butler was a deviation from Wheeler Weaver's other victims as she was not a sex worker and did not struggle with mental health issues. She was also close to her family and in the middle of earning a degree. Essex County Assistant Prosecutor Adam Wells later described how the tagged killer selected victims, saying he targeted women he deemed somehow less than human, less valuable. Wheeler Weaver, said Wells, thought maybe they wouldn't be missed. Wheeler Weaver's murder of Sarah Butler, however, would ultimately result in his capture. Butler was home for Thanksgiving when she met Wheeler Weaver on Tagged, a social media app. The two had planned to go out before, but Butler decided against it. But when Wheeler Weaver offered her $500 for sex, she agreed. Butler jokingly texted him before their date, "You're not a serial killer, right?" Butler told her mother she was going to meet a friend and borrowed her van. Thinking nothing of it, her mother said goodbye. This was the last time anyone would see Sarah Butler alive. Her body was discovered on December 1, 2016, at the 400-acre Eagle Rock Reservation in West Orange. On November 15, 2016, just before Butler's murder, another woman named Tiffany Taylor approached authorities regarding an encounter she had with Wheeler Weaver that almost left her dead. Taylor was 34 years old, several months pregnant, and had recently become homeless. She relied on sex work to get by. She told authorities she had made a deal with Wheeler Weaver to pay her for sex. They met at a motel in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and left in Wheeler Weaver's car. But he then put on a ski mask and proceeded to handcuff Taylor and duct tape her mouth. He raped her in the back of the car and strangled her to the point that she lost consciousness. When she awoke, Taylor somehow managed to persuade her captor to drive her back to the motel. Once there, she ran into a room and locked the door. She called 911, but Wheeler Weaver was gone by the time police arrived. Meanwhile, Sarah Butler's family and friends were determined to find justice and so took matters into their own hands. Butler's sister knew the passwords to her social media accounts, including Tagged. Logging onto Butler's account, she looked through her communications from the time she disappeared and discovered Wheeler Weaver. Butler's sister created a fake profile on Tagged and approached Montclair police about what to do next. Together they arranged a sting operation. On December 6, 2016, Wheeler Weaver arrived at the location he had arranged with his date and was instead met by undercover police officers. He was subsequently taken into custody. On the day he was taken into custody, authorities searched the Tagged killer's home and found 3 cell phones in his bedroom. These revealed several pieces of incriminating evidence, including searches that Wheeler Weaver had made that proved he'd lied to detectives about his whereabouts at the time the 3 women disappeared. His internet searches included how to make homemade poisons to kill humans and what chemical could you put on a rag and hold to someone's face to make them go to sleep immediately. It appeared that Wheeler Weaver also thought about applying to become a police officer, as he'd also searched police entrance exam practice test. After tracking Wheeler Weaver's cell phone, authorities could place him at the abandoned house containing West's body, which was set on fire in September 2016. His phone records also revealed that he had initially driven away but then went back to watch the building burn. Prosecutors also showed that the last person to call Joanne Brown before she disappeared was none other than Wheeler Weaver himself. He picked her up, brought her to the abandoned house, and spent about an hour there before he left. Her body was found in the home around 6 weeks later. In February 2017, Wheeler Weaver was indicted on 3 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, aggravated arson, desecration of human remains, aggravated sexual assault, and kidnapping. He pled not guilty to the 3 murders and the charge of attempted murder. In December 2019, Khalil Wheeler Weaver finally had his day in court. A jury found him guilty of 11 charges, including 3 counts of murder and desecration of human remains, attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault, aggravated arson, and kidnapping. At his sentencing on October 6, 2021, a number of his victims' family members had the opportunity to speak. "I will never forget her smile, her face, her walk, her desire to help homeless people," West's mother said. "The world focuses on the last month of her life. She had a whole entire life before her demise." When it came time for Butler's father to address the court, he turned to face his daughter's killer. "I hope you suffer, boy," he said, every night. Wheeler Weaver's would-be victim, Taylor, also spoke. "My whole life is different. I don't wear makeup anymore. I don't have friends. I'm always paranoid. But I'm happy to still be here," she said. Then, Taylor turned to the judge. "I hope you don't show him any remorse," she added, "because he's not showing any remorse." Though Khalil Wheeler Weaver claimed he was framed, the judge sided with his would-be victim and his victims' families. The Tagged killer was sentenced to 160 years in prison. Khalil believed these victims were disposable, he killed them, and then he went on about his day, as if nothing had happened. But each of these women's lives mattered. Let me know, do you think Khalil was framed? We've come to the end, thank you for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, till next time.